What's up, Collective fam? It's your boy Tony the Toy Rat. And before we start this interview, I just wanted to talk about how completely blessed I am. There are so many people out there who are reviewing toys, and not all of them have an opportunity to get this type of interview. If you guys aren't aware of who the man is, you need just a tiny bit of backstory on Jim Shooter. At 13 and 14 years old, he was already writing for DC Comics. Understand what I'm telling you? That's a teenager. At one point, this man spent over a decade being the editor in chief at Marvel Comics, and since then has gone on to help so many different publishing networks create and grow their base, not to mention help start Valiant Comics. I have had many opportunities over the last couple of years to have a couple of candid conversations with Jim, and this is the first time I was able to get him on film, much less opening any toys. I'm extremely thankful to be in the position that I am. I thank you to Diamond Select Toys. I thank you to Heroescon, and of course, most of all, to Jim Shooter. So with that being said, please, if you don't know about Jim, grab a Wikipedia, do a little bit of knowledge-based information, learning about the man and the comic book history, and enjoy this little interview we put together. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate you paying attention. This is Tony the Toy Rat. Just getting started. Toy Rat. What's up, Collective fam? It's your boy Tony the Toy Rat, and I have the legendary Jim Shooter sitting next to me, and he's agreed to open up a couple of toys here and give us some reflections on how he feels they look and match the characters from at least his time at Marvel. If you don't know who Jim Shooter is, please go look up Jim Shooter. This is the legend, the man. Everybody here who is in the comic universe knows who Jim Shooter is. So without further ado, I'm gonna ask him what he'd like to open up, and we're gonna crack it open, get his honest opinions on it while I try and pummel him with a couple of questions during the interview here. So okay. Jim, we pulled out a Dr. Octopus, the Thing, a Professor X, a Human Torch, and a Cyclops here. What floats your boat?
Let's start with the Thing.
Okay, let's start with the Thing. Cool. Let's crack this guy open here, which is good because it's all up in his eye line. So, all right, let me give you that. This starts off with a certificate of authenticity every time.
Okay.
So we know you're getting the real deal. And then I'll just go ahead and yank this out.
Designed by Caesar, sculpted by Clayton Moore.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Cool. Let's pull that out. I guess it's nice to note this is a Diamond Select toy, and this is a premium selection resin bust, and I'm opening it with a giant Batman knife. So, all right.
Very thematic what you're doing.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm trying. All right. So you crack it open, you can see it comes really well packaged. Jim, it comes in two pieces here. I will let you take a look at the Thing first. Get a good handle on that while I pop open the base. So it comes in two separate pieces. The base has got this, I don't know what you'd call that. Is that dirt?
I guess so.
That looks like dirt and a headstone of some sorts. It says Ben Grimm, Killer versus Torgo on that.
Oh yeah, that's from an old Kirby Lee Fantastic Four issue.
See,
yeah.
He knew exactly which one it was.
Yeah, I don't know the number, but that was great. He becomes like a gladiator, intergalactic gladiator.
Well, that is cool.
Yeah.
So there's a pinning here. I think there's a foot part.
Yep.
You just drop them in there.
Yep.
There you go.
Oh, you better do it.
Oh, there it goes. You got it?
There it goes.
There it is.
There it goes.
Locked in. So there we have the Thing.
Yeah.
And it is definitely sort of a classic Kirby type of look with the overhanging, sloping forehead, you know, sort of a caveman kind of looking at it.
Yeah, what I like about this is that they got the proportions right. The Thing is not overly bulky, you know, and they've got the head pretty close to the size that ought to be. They got the right number of fingers. He has 3 fingers and a thumb. He has 3 toes and a big toe. And a lot of people screw that up.
Okay.
But I think it's a really good-looking thing. It's very decorative. I'm not sure how functional, but I like the looks of this.
He
thing.
does take up a good bit of space.
Yes.
Like if you were going to be displaying
big
this out.
footprint, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a giant footprint right now. I'm not sure if it's worthy of all this, just the rubble sitting in the back there. But I do like the whole, they've got a fight scene happening in the background on the posters.
Yeah, that was from like some Kirby Lee issue of the Fantastic Four, where he actually becomes a gladiator against intergalactic guys.
Torgo, apparently.
Yeah, Torgo,
Intergalactic
apparently, yeah.
Torgo, which I
Yeah.
can't say I'm familiar with. We haven't created a toy for him just yet, so.
Well, it's a very old book, but it's a really good one. As a matter of fact, all the Lee Kirby stuff is.
That's from the golden
great.
age of comics.
And usually, I mean, one of the ways I judge things like this is, does it follow the intent of the creator? I mean, because I've seen people do versions of like the Hulk, and they went with sort of that image trend of the very tiny head and the giant
frame,
and that's not what the Hulk is, you know. And I respect the intent of the creators, and I try to always preach that when I was at Marvel, and then I was preaching to the choir mostly because I had some of the greatest people on earth working for me. I was real lucky. I got Archie Goodwin, Louise Simonson, that's better than Christmas. I got Larry Hama, that's like winning the lottery. Al Milgram, Carl Potts, Jim Salicrup, Bob Budiansky. I mean, that's Murderer's Row.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And if you can't win with that team, fire the coach.
Well, that kind of leads me into a question I had to ask anyway, because that was the golden age of comics, in my opinion.
Well, we had a nice little time there, yeah.
I'd say golden age.
All
That's
right.
golden age, right? So how do you feel about the state of the comic book industry today?
I think they forgot what business they're in. I think that, hey guys, it's supposed to be entertainment, but a lot of it comes out like propaganda. And I don't care if you agree with every word they say. Nobody wants to read propaganda. It's just, it's boring. And an awful lot of retcon going on. And I mean, like I said, I respect the intent of the creators. And Jack Kirby never intended for Thor to be a girl. And he never intended. Joe Simon, Jack Kirby, and Stan Lee are spinning in their graves because they turned Captain America into like a Hydra guy or a Nazi or something, and he always was. Well, that's just wrong. I mean, don't do that.
Stay true to the character.
Yeah,
stay true to the character.
I used to show people old Lee and Kirby books from the 60s. I had a new writer, let's say, on Captain America. And I'd go through the first appearance of Captain America, and I think it was Avengers number 4, maybe. He comes back, and very clearly, there's one panel where they're fighting Submariner. And for some reason, Captain America doesn't remember Submariner. I don't from World War II. But Submariner takes him by surprise, and he has him by the belt, in like the small of his back, and he's raising him up over his head to dash him to death on the rocks. So here's Captain America upside down, being held by his belt, about to die, and his thought is, he's stronger than I am, but I'll find a way to outmaneuver him. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I mean, just boundless courage. Never say die. He'll find a way. So I'm trying to explain this to the guy, and then right away they start writing him like he's Captain Republican or something, and he's not. He represents the ideals of America, not any political stance. And but I try to work with the guys, and some of them got it. Roger Stern got it. Wow, he got it
right. Yeah, he
nailed it. And as a matter of fact, I think he's one of the best writers we had. We had some really good ones. We had J.M. DeMatteis. We had Claremont, of course. We had the Simonsons, both of them. Larry Hama. Just so many good guys. David Michelini. Really, really talented people. And so the ones who really care about it, they got it.
Yeah.
And they did what they did with this sculpture, which is to make it true to the original creation. There it is.
That's how you bring it full circle.
Yeah.
Right there. So what does the industry have to do right now to get us back to where we were? That's the face. That's the one I wanted to know about right there.
Yeah.
Are we so oversaturated right now with independent comic books? Everybody can create their own thing right now. And so I'm not sure anyone's following sort of a playbook scenario on how we started out and where we are, where we used to be,
and why there's been a diminished sales in the comic book
Way
industry.
diminished.
Way diminished,
down.
right? So what do we have to do in the comic book industry to pull us back to a golden age, the new golden age?
Well, somebody who knows what he's doing has to be in charge. Where's the next Stan Lee? That's what you
That's
need.
it.
And it has nothing to do with the indies. The indies, a lot of them are really interesting. They have really interesting properties and good ideas and stuff like that. Most of them have no training whatsoever, and so they're hard to read, or they're not structured right, or it's just not as good as they could be. And the majors, where they have what used to be the majors, they're pretty small now. They do have some really good talent, but they don't have anybody steering the ship.
Yeah.
I mean, and so basically each guy, he does what he wants, and nobody tells what's his last name is Bendis. Nobody tells him anything. He just turns stuff in, they process it through,
Yeah.
And or Jeff Johns, or any of those guys. They're just I used to have editors. Larry Hama taught you stuff. Larry Hama, if you needed help, he helped you. You know, if you had Walt Simonson, he didn't need help.
Yeah, he's just going to do.
But nowadays, I think they're more like expediters, just processes stuff through. I don't see anybody.
Is that because you feel like the reader today isn't really immersing themselves in the storyline, or they're just overly concerned with the imagery?
Those guys are just they're doing stuff that isn't good.
It just isn't good.
And it has nothing to do with the readers. It has nothing to do with indies or too many indies or whatever. It has to do with they don't know their craft.
Yeah.
And they're kind of wrong-headed because they forgot they're in the entertainment business, and they're not focusing on that first. I mean, I don't care if you have something to say on some social justice issue, or fine. Let the character say it.
Right.
Don't you say it. If it's you preaching at the reader, or if it's the company preaching at the reader,
you feel that.
That's propaganda, and you don't want to read it.
Yeah.
If a character states a point of view, that's fine. That's the character's point of view.
Okay.
And
so right from the character's point of view, step one.
Yeah, and I think that if they get somebody in there who knows what they're doing and sort of steers the ship, that'll be good. When indies don't matter. When I was at Marvel, that was when the direct market started, and we helped the direct market grow, and they helped us grow. And in fact, the rising tide lifted all the boats. Also, the direct market became a venue for small publishers like Cerebus and ElfQuest. And those guys couldn't get service from the newsstand distributors, not at all.
Right.
They didn't want them. But when the direct market opened up, all these small publishers could thrive. Ninja Turtles, Distant Soil, all those great things. And we helped them. We tried to encourage them. In a way, they were kind of our farm club.
Okay.
These guys that start out there, and then they get good, and they want to do Spider-Man. Sure.
So they start pulling them up into the ranks there. Okay.
And so we encouraged that. We even helped First Comics get started, and we helped Pacific Comics get started. The Shanus brothers had Pacific Comics distribution, and they wanted to go into publishing. They showed up in my office and told me that, and I said, okay, let me show you how.
There it is. This is the plan.
And same with First Comics. Rick Obadiah came, actually he came to license something to us called Warp, which is co-created by Neil Adams. Nice property. And then he got real fascinated by the direct market and the whole comic book business. And I said, well, let me explain it to you. So I spent 3 days explaining, the
Jim
basics.
Shooter's school.
And he goes off and starts First Comics. One of my editors said to me, he said, why are you helping First Comics get started? I said, because if on a level playing field, we can't beat any of these guys. We don't deserve it, okay? And the more the merrier, because First Comics will do things we wouldn't do. So somebody comes to the store to buy American Flag, well, maybe they decide to check out Daredevil or Superman. We didn't care. We're just trying to build the industry,
right?
And so we just thought, the more the merrier. The more little indie guys there are, the more variety there is, the more different kinds of people will come into the store, and so that I don't know. I think that it wasn't just me. I mean, I had some like Archie Goodman and Larry. We had some very enlightened people there,
right?
And so we were all on the same page.
Well, talk to me about enlightened just a little bit. In today's universe, there's artificial intelligence. You knew I was going to ask the question, didn't you? Right?
No.
Okay. Well, good. I caught you off guard. So, in the artificial intelligence universe, there are people who are calling themselves AI artists. And I throw that in heavy quotes, guys. That's my personal POV. We're about to hear Jim. So, do you think there's any room for AI artists in the comic book industry?
Well, it's like a lot of things. I mean, when the business went from hand coloring to then full colors with camera separations or scans, and then they finally went to the computer coloring. All right, well, the computer coloring opened up this whole world of possibilities. You could add textures. You could very easily do a lot of tricks.
Right.
Okay? And okay, a lot of guys were overcomplicating their work with all these tricks, not because they should, because they could.
Because they could.
And so, I mean, to me, that's a tool.
Yeah.
Okay, in the right hands, if you gave the computer coloring to Bill Sienkiewicz, who is a tremendous artist, he would know exactly how to use it. It would be a powerful tool, and it would help him. You know.
Yeah.
I think it's the same with AI. All right, it's fine that the computer can think it through for you and give you some foundation or whatever, but if you just rely on that, well, that's good enough. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, I don't. You know, it sounds corny, but I mean, even the computer doesn't have your life experience, and it doesn't have a heart. It just it's calculating.
Right. It's just doing what you told it to do.
It's calculating.
Right.
It's doing probabilities and type of stuff, and so in the hands of a skilled writer, in the hands of Archie Goodwin, if he were around and he chose to use that, it would be genius. It might make his work easier, and he would know exactly what parts to use and what parts had to be.
But you would find that acceptable in his hands.
It's a tool. It's a tool, and if it's used as a tool by people who know what they're doing, then they could probably do some marvelous things with it. If you let it run the show, and it's just doing what it wants, it's probably not.
So it's
good.
About manipulation after the fact. It's just don't let it just run with whatever the computer came up with.
Bring your skills to it.
Bring your skills to it. Did you hear that?
Don't you just rely on the machine, because I don't care how many the flops a second it can do. It can't. It doesn't have your experience. It doesn't have all of that stuff inside you. It doesn't have however many billion teraflops in your in your brain, and so you have a perspective it can't match. Use it as a tool, fine. Just let it run and think that'll do.
So the art and the storyline is more about perspectives than it is anything else.
Well, I think I used to tell my guys, and this was again preaching to the choir for most of them, but for the new guys, I used to say, care about it.
Yeah.
Make it mean something.
Yeah.
Make people feel like when they put down a comic book, that's the best 65 cents they ever spent in their lives. You know? And also, I used to tell them, it's not really about advertising or marketing like that. The best next issue ad is to make this one great.
That's right.
And then they'll buy the next one.
That's right.
Comics is a relationship marketing business. What's that mean? That means that if you get people to care about Peter Parker, okay, they have a relationship with Peter Parker.
Which I did, because he was a boy from Queens, which I was.
Yeah.
So.
And also, so not only are you selling this first book, if it's good, you're selling the next 6.
That's right. Because I'm invested in the character now.
And even if one in the middle of that 6 isn't so good, they'll stick around to see if it gets better.
Yeah.
Because they have a relationship with the character, and it's comics marketing has more. It's more like single malt scotch than it is like books or magazines. Books are sold by the name of the author.
Right.
Magazines are sold by a headshot of someone on the cover and all the little blurbs telling you all the wonderful stuff inside. Comics are sold because you care about Spider-Man or Fantastic Four or whoever.
So just taking the Spider-Man aspect of it, because that's when I fell in love with the comic books, was all the Spider-Man stuff, right? Romita, everybody doing all the wonderful work. Is there too much Spider-Man right now? There's a spider freaking everything. I reviewed a toy that was a spider dinosaur, and I was like, what? Spider Rex, I think they called it. And I was like, what a piece of crap this toy is.
Just like I say, you need someone to come in who knows what they're doing, because that is overkill, and that is just you're hurting the franchise. You're destroying that relationship. And Stan and I, we every once in a while DC Comics, for no reason I could tell, would send us like a month's worth of comics.
Just for you guys to review, take a look at. This is
guess
what you're
so.
not doing.
I don't know what their point was.
Okay.
But I remember sitting around in Stan's office and we're looking through these things and laughing our tails off because they're Earth 1 and Earth 6 and Earth,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and there's two flashes and there's, you know, I mean, it was so confusing. I mean, when they first did that first Earth 1 story that Julie Schwartz did, that was interesting. About 200 Earths later,
Yeah.
it was not interesting.
Earth 636.
You know,
but didn't Marvel sort of follow that path and started
Well,
creating multiverses?
not on my watch, pal.
All right, see, it's the not on my watch part of it.
And so, I mean, with Stan and I used to laugh. And I also, one time he told me, he's get up on my coffee table, a nice sturdy coffee table, it's marble top. And I said, why? He said, I want to show you something. I said, okay. So he says, all right, now jump down to the floor. So I jumped down to the floor. He said, think about how you landed. You jump and you land on 2 feet, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you
Steadied your
body,
balance on your way up.
body,
Okay.
you cushion the shock with you by bending your body and all that. And he says, look at this. And he holds up a pic, one of these comic books that is Superman coming in for a landing with one leg tucked up and the other one with a toe pointed. He says he's a ballerina. I said, why would they do this to this character? You know?
Yeah.
And
It doesn't show the strength in the
No,
in the pose.
and it's nothing human. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
When John Buscema drew Superman in the crossover, Superman Spider-Man crossover that I wrote, and John Buscema drew it,
Yeah.
Superman landed on 2 feet.
There you go.
And nobody had to tell him that.
Yeah, he knows how to land the characters. This is actual human strength. Maybe there's some give and take in the fact that he's supposed to be an alien. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe aliens land differently than
I
humans
don't
land.
think I don't even think the alien discount covers it.
No, it doesn't count?
No.
Which other one would you like
Cyclops.
to? You want to do Cyclops? Okay. I'll let you pop it open there.
Is it open already? Oh, all right.
Well, we got the knife out here. I'll get the
yeah.
other part of it going.
Certificate of authenticity.
Certificate of authenticity. All the resin busts from this company, which is Diamond Select Toys, comes with certificate of authenticity. And I'll take care of the knifing part here.
All right.
So Jim, what would you say you absolutely loved and hated about the comic book industry? 2-part question. What's the thing you love about it? And then absolutely, what's the thing you hate about it?
What I love about it is I love comics.
Okay.
I always did. I was always a big comics fan. And face it, all of us here in this
Yeah,
building
we're all
are
comic
big
lovers,
comics
yeah.
fans. Nobody graduates from college and thinks about, like, well, what do I want to do? Oh, I know. Maybe I'll try this comic book business.
No,
you grew up your whole
that's
life
right.
wanting
You wanted
to do this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like everybody here, we're all fans. We didn't get into this because we thought it was easier or, profitable or, Anyway.
Look at that.
Ah, look at that.
What do you think of that one?
Hey, it's weird as hell.
You think it's weird as hell?
I mean, it's what is he? He looks like Korvac.
Yeah. So what they've been doing with all this Diamond Select guys on the animated series is giving them these busts, and I don't know what to call this thing down here. It's like
it
looks like a
looks like I
transporter.
said, yeah, it looks like Korvac's ball.
It does.
Used to be.
It does. It has a certificate. It puts the on the bottom of the base. It tells you the number.
Yeah, well,
It gives you stability.
I think this is ridiculous.
All right. There you have it. That particular one is ridiculous. Should not ask for a signature on that particular one at all. Okay. Which other one would you like to open up?
Let's see the Human Torch.
You want to do the Human Torch?
Yeah.
All right, let's do the Human Torch.
All right, you have to do the heavy
Yeah.
lifting. Okay.
I got to pull this guy out. So
Yeah.
there's a certificate of authenticity.
There you go. Looks good on the picture.
It looks good on the picture. Now I'm going to tell you my quick point of view on this one here. I felt like it was a little bit without feature. It was featureless, a little featureless on this. But I'm taking that from the outside of the box cover right now. So
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what you say about it, because there's been a lot of renditions I've seen where they put some elements of the character into the space here that oh, this is a big one, and I opened it upside down. So it comes in 2 pieces. Oh my goodness, that's heavy.
Wow.
Let's take a look at that. Wow.
And that's just the flame thrower.
That's just the flame shooting out right now.
Yeah.
So the flame comes in 1 piece, and then the Human Torch comes in a complete other, and they've got it keyed in here with two little holes, looks like at the very top, and it looks like he just slides right in here.
All right, there you go.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you what. The reason I picked this to look at is because this was hard to imagine them doing it well.
Yeah.
Because it's such a complex thing. He's got, he's got flames all over the place. He leaves a flame trail, and I guess they can do some fantastic things with resin. But like you said, this is featureless.
It is. He's almost a little too stoic to be coming up from, this hellion of fire twirl here seems to tell me that he twisted up into that shape and then is flying off.
All right.
But the arm, the way it's placed right now, it doesn't feel like he's flying off. It's like he's just kind of in the air looking around like a Superman pose.
Now look at this face.
All right.
And then compare that to what Kirby drew. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is not the Human Torch or anything close.
No.
And like you said, it's featureless. We got no flames anywhere here because that's too hard.
Yep.
And they did put some of the little stripes that Kirby used to put in to indicate like a log in a fireplace.
Heat flame.
And but this is nice try, guys, but no.
Nice try, guys. If I gotta say anything I do like about it, and it's just from you turning it right now, I can see like there's flux of different. I guess it's the translucent nature of light coming through, and it kind of does do some shining elements in the back of the space here.
There's a lot. You can find a lot of good about it. His figure is also he's over muscular. He's got these huge bowling ball shoulders, and that's not the Torch. The Torch, done right, well in the Kirby time. I mean, he aged as things went along. He was a kid.
Yeah.
And he was always playing tricks on Ben Grimm. He was not a serious guy usually. This guy looks pretty serious to me. And I think that he's like way too bulked up, and because the Torch never was. And like you said, his pose is like the sort of like a bodybuilder dramatic pose.
Yeah.
Torch wouldn't do that.
Well, and I'm not sure how you'd maintain that flying upward anyway. There's a core stability issue here. Plus, there's a directional thing. Which way are you going? Are you just flying up to fly up? It's, again, like Superman would do, just kind of fly up and look over the town or whatever.
Yeah, even Superman probably wouldn't strike the bodybuilder pose.
No, probably not.
But a lot of the modern artists, they take a lot of these characters, and they turn them into these ripped bodybuilders. You can see every vein, and no.
And when did that happen? I figured that happened like late 80s, beginning of the 90s, and we started to turn them into bodybuilders.
When the Image stuff started.
Yeah.
Also, when the Image guys were working in Marvel, they started doing it. And it was popular at first.
Yeah.
But I would have objected because it wasn't quite, the character as intended.
Well, let me ask you something, because this has been ticking me off. I opened so many of these statues up, and what I recognize is, if this is a suit, if he's actually wearing a suit, there's no way in hell you get all the musculature. You just don't.
Well,
think Christopher Reeve in the 80s, like, you had it. He was built. He was a muscular dude, but you couldn't tell there was cuts on him because he's wearing a damn suit.
Right.
So, like, to me,
agree.
it's like all of these characters coming out that show all this ridiculous musculature through the suit. Like, how tight is this damn suit?
Now, all that said, I'm not like so dedicated to the way Kirby drew things or the way Ditko drew things. And don't get me wrong, guys. There's a thing called style.
Right.
And I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
I think that you can do the character in your own style.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's what Todd McFarlane did.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorites.
He didn't make Spider-Man ridiculously bulked up.
No.
He drew the guy I knew, but he drew it in his style, and then his style includes some pretty extreme action and stuff. And
contorting bodies in ways they don't.
I'm telling you, I'm looking through that stuff, and I never saw anything that I thought, oh, that's so wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it was stylistic, and I don't mind style. I remember when I first came to Marvel, other people, some of whom had been editor-in-chief, they were sort of opposed to anyone like
altering.
Didn't draw like Buscema or somebody. And I said, no. As a matter of fact, when John Byrne showed up, showing his sample book, and he had done some basically fill-in work on Iron Fist but Iron Fist was canceled.
Yeah.
And then he was working at Charlton. Charlton went out of business. So he comes to New York from Canada to show his sample book, see if he can get some work. I looked at those drawings, and man, they were good. I mean, I said, wow, this is great. But some of the other people there, and who had a lot of clout, they said they didn't like it. Everybody looks like they're made of rubber. It's.
Well, it was completely stylistically different than anything else.
Right. But I didn't care about the style.
Yeah.
I cared about the fact that he nailed the characters. That he got them right, and he could draw really well. You know, he had a few things to learn, but he for a new guy, he was really, on the ball there. And so he was kind of shouted down because of his style. And I told my boss at the time, I was just the editor. I wasn't the editor-in-chief yet.
Not yet.
And Marv Wolfman was the editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
And he just didn't want to have anything to do with the guy. No, he's no good. I'm like, whoa, Marv. A, he's really good. And B, he's fast. And C, every book we have is late.
Yeah,
we could
we
really
need
use somebody who
can crank them out right now.
Who can draw at a high level of excellence.
Yeah.
And yet he's very facile and he can go fast. I never wanted anybody to hurry. I never wanted anybody to have to hurry. I just wanted you to take as much work as you could do with rare excellence. And Byrne could do a lot.
Yeah.
And really well. And so I thought, we need this guy,
Yeah.
So I convinced him to let me write sort of fill-in issues for John to draw. Just write the plots, to get someone else to write the script. And so that was going to be the way we're going to keep him busy. And then Marv left. Jerry Conway was there for a couple weeks, and he left, and Archie came in. Archie was like me. He took one look at it. He said, this is great. And so next thing you know, John's drawing Team Up with Chris Claremont, and there we go. We're on our way. But no, I didn't care about the style. I cared about the substance. You get does that Human Torch look right? Yes, it does. Does the Thing have every brick in place? Yep.
Well, this leads into another question I had for you. So, in the universe, you're on the writing side of things. I know you can probably doodle as much as anyone, but you're on the writing side of things. When you're writing a book, you don't necessarily need diagrams to illustrate the book. If the book is written well, you can see in your mind what it is. On the same token, a picture is worth 1,000 words. What's more important in the comic book universe, the writing or the illustration?
You can't divide it.
Can you? Can't you?
No, you can't divide it. What is important in the comic book industry is like I say, that the finished product, when people put it down, say that's the best 50 cents I ever spent or whatever.
Right.
That's what's important. Now, how you get there, I don't care.
Right.
I mean, like if you were working with Archie Goodwin, if you were an artist working with Archie Goodwin, and there's a famous artist who did Dazzler with him for a while, and he went on to do Concrete and other things. Can't remember his name. Anyway, when you worked with Archie, first of all, he was a tremendous writer. Second, his scripts were super tight, and you knew exactly what to do. Third, he'd give you little scribble layouts.
So you get an idea of what it's going to be.
You know what's supposed to be, and now you execute. And people learned that way. They were like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. And so, I don't care how it gets there. Sometimes as a writer, and he's not terribly visual, but you team him up with a Kirby or a Ditko or
and they can pull it out of him.
And they interpret it better,
yeah.
and they make it more interesting, more active, and stuff like that. Like I had a young man named David Lapham who worked for me. I was a genius. I mean, I didn't have to tell him a lot. I didn't have to give him a lot of information. But whatever I asked for, he gave me everything I asked for, and then extra besides. Things I didn't think of, or character in the background reacting, or all this stuff. And so, he more than held up his end. Let's put it that way. And some of those books came out pretty well. And however it gets there, it gets there.
So Jim's Shooter Speak boiled down into a nutshell. Great artistry, crappy writing, crappy book. Great writing, crappy artistry, crappy book. So it's a marriage of the two. There's no way that one beats over the other. It was a question I had because I know you're on the writing side of things. I thought I was going to get a different answer. We're going to be honest with you.
No.
It starts with the story, something along those lines, but it is obviously
No.
a marriage of those two that make the best of the books.
Yeah, and as you can see, when those two things came together, Watchmen,
Yeah,
the Phoenix Saga.
yeah. The Phoenix Saga.
When Frank Miller was working with David Mazzucchelli on Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Now, David Mazzucchelli wasn't as experienced, and Frank was feeding him his lines, at least at first. But, you know, the guy is great, and
Yeah.
he caught on super fast, and then he became a real contributor.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, it's really, any argument like that is a waste of time. It's about the goal. What's
Okay.
the goal? Entertainment. If you entertain people, they'll buy it. You know, and that keeps you in business, so you can make another one.
But you'd have to argue if I'm at a comic book shop and I'm not allowed to thumb through the book, what is the psychosis here? What am I trying to get from the reader or the viewer? It's all in the imagery at that point because I don't get
guess
to
so.
read a
No,
book.
I always used to say that the artist gets people in the door, and
Yeah.
the writer keeps them there.
Okay, well there you go.
Because they look at flashy art and they say, well, that looks nice. If the story's crap, they won't come back.
Right.
But if the writer is good, they buy it because they like the look of the art. The story's good. Next thing you know, it's a relationship marketing thing. They love that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
So let me ask you this, because I know I don't have a whole lot of time. Jim is a very busy man. It's a very busy day. Is this 40 or 50 years of comic book?
Me?
Yeah.
59.
59 years in this industry, and it's 2024, and you're at a Comic-Con convention. Why in the hell are you still doing Comic-Con conventions at this time?
Because, like I said, we all love this stuff.
Okay, so this is
I'll
for the
tell you
love of it.
something.
You're here
Travel
for.
sucks,
Yes.
especially air travel these days. It's a pain. But once you get here, it's fun. It's the clubhouse. We're
Yeah.
all here.
Yeah. All right. So it's about reconnecting with everybody in this list.
I've seen artists and other creators that I haven't seen for decades, and they're here, and it's been fun. You know, I mean, and we have our own little convention back in the hotel bar.
That's
you know,
right. That's right. After
every
hours,
day.
we get to hang out a little bit.
Yeah.
I've got to be a little bit a part of that, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
So for those people, you know, who don't get to see Jim, I had a question for you on the aspiring writer checklist. If you wanted to make it to 59 years in the industry of the comic books, give me the Jim Shooter check. If you can boil it down to the top 3 to 5 things, what is the checklist you got to have? If Jim said, I didn't do this, I'm going to suck.
Number one, learn your craft.
Learn your craft.
Because a lot of people think just because they can write an English sentence or they read 1,000 comic books that now they know how.
Right.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Okay, it's a craft. It's if you think just because you can write an English sentence and you've read a lot of comics, you know that you can write them. That's like thinking you could be a dentist because you have teeth.
Okay.
I mean, you got to go to school and learn the
you
stuff.
gotta do the
It's
stuff.
not just write strings of some words together. There's a science to it. It's architecture as well as art.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at any movie, any novel written by a professional writer, any TV series, you will see that some patterns emerge, which is that you're never confused.
Right.
You understand what's going on. You know who the character is. You understand what is at stake. You know, well, there's a craft to making that happen.
Right.
You have to learn all the literary devices, like in Rocky. When he's starting to train, he runs up the stairs to the library, he can staggering up there, he can barely make it, he's got a stitch in his side. You know, all right, so he goes through the training thing.
By the end of the movie.
I know, and then when he's really in shape,
Yeah.
he bounds up those
Yeah,
stairs, and
flies.
he gets to the top, and he's exulting, you know.
Yeah.
All right, that's called parallel construction. Same stairs. Can't do it, can do it. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's one little literary device. There's a lot of them. But you need to learn all that stuff and be in command of it. And so learn your craft. And then, all right, I learned my craft. Now I know how to tell a story, right? Great. What do you have to say? Do you have any insight? Any good ideas? Any anything that will make something interesting. So that's where the care about it comes in.
Yeah.
And if you have something to say, a good story to tell.
So have something to say.
Yeah, a good story to
Know
tell.
how to say it.
You can't just be I'm really good at the craft, but I can't think of any ideas. You have to have something to offer.
Something of substance.
Yeah, something
All right.
of substance to offer.
So
Anyway,
know how to say it. Something of substance. What's number 3? If you had a third one to round it out.
I would say if you are working, whatever industry you're working in, or whatever your goal is, you want to work in comics, you want to work in movies or whatever, learn the particulars of that. The bedrock is the same.
Right.
The bedrock is exactly the same. But you can do things in movies you can't do in comics.
Yeah.
For that matter, you can do things in comics you can't do in movies, because comics, you can create iconic images. Superman always looks noble.
Right.
But in the movies, eventually Superman's going to sit down and you're going to get that butt sticking out pose.
That's right.
Doesn't look
That's
too
right.
dignified.
That's right.
You
It
know,
is
but in
dignified.
comics, you can go from iconic image to iconic image, and you can tell a story with tremendous power. Look at Frank Miller.
Yeah.
I mean, everything he puts in there is something he wants you to know, and he does it with skill and power and grace.
So those are the top 3 for Mr. Jim Shooter. If you want to remain legacy in this industry, make sure you adhere to those things. 2 more quick questions for you, Jim, and then I know I got to let you off to this thing. What's the biggest thing you've had to endure or lose during the time you've been in these marketing circles, like coming to Comic Cons and
I had to endure. Or
Yeah,
lose.
like there's things that happen to people in your lives, your personal situations, and you're out at a marketing event. Like what have you had to give up to be a part of this industry for 59 years?
Well, my dreams of becoming a jockey ended when I was 6'7" and 250 pounds. So I had to give that up.
All right.
No,
That's
nothing. I'm doing what I want to do.
Okay, well, fair enough. The last question I have for you is, if this is the last interview, you decided to hang up the keys, not write a thing, not come out to another Comic-Con. This is the last interview you were able to give to the masses. What do you want people to remember about Jim Shooter?
I couldn't care less.
I couldn't care less.
Listen, whatever they remember about me, that's up to them. And I did my best.
But in the
tried
legacy
hard
of
to
Jim
learn my
Shooter,
crap. I don't care.
you don't care about the legacy
No.
at all?
No, they care about it, and that's up to them. It's not up to
Well,
me.
I care about it.
Well,
I care
good.
about it too. But I'm sitting in the chair talking to the legend, so I don't get to be him. I have to care about it.
Oh well.
Jim, thank you so much for the
Thanks a
time,
lot,
buddy. I
Tony.
really appreciate
Great.
it.
It was
This has
fun.
been Jim Shooter, the legend. Hopefully you guys watch everything. Thanks, Diamond Select Toys, for letting us open up some stuff. Ratings, what do you give these real quick?
A-, F.
F.
Nice try, but C.
C? No,
Minus.
C plus, C minus.
Yeah.
A C minus. Well, this is Jim Shooter, everybody. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jim, you're the man.